All right. So we are back live. Yeah, it looked like the Gremlins won tonight. Not really sure what happened. But we apologize for the disconnection, and we appreciate you all for coming back and joining us. Crazy things have happened. I guess Halloween is around the corner, so
Yeah,
we'll chalk it up to Halloween.
hey,
Uh,
look, it happens.
yeah, it does. It really does. And this is live, so this is how we get down. So we were talking about the Texans, man, and the Texans and the Colts before we got rudely interrupted. And like I said, it's definitely a chance at the second half for the Colts to be able
Hmm.
to kind of right the ship and
Right.
and and get themselves together in the second half. But it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a long fight. Um, but I look forward to it, man. The South is going to turn out to be, I think, pretty competitive,
Oh yeah,
moving forward.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Minus the Jaguars.
Well, yeah. Well, overhyped. I mean, the whole they've been overhyped, and the whole Trevor Lawrence thing, man. I don't see it. I didn't see it coming out of Clemson.
Right.
But it is what it is. So we'll
Right.
move on. And I'm
And
trying
if
to
there's
drag it.
a,
Hmm.
I'm about to say, if there's a rebound game for the Bears, it's against Jacksonville because I believe they played them this weekend. So
Well, that's a
you know what
perfect.
I'm
That's the
saying.
perfect. That's perfect time. Then I mean, you coming off a loss, and this is the
Hmm.
perfect rebound team to play against because I don't think they really have much to give in the tank. So it's perfect rebound game, for them this week. If
Right.
that's the case, and I'm
One thing
really.
that I'm about to
Hmm.
say one thing that, and I'm sorry for cutting you
No,
off,
you
but
good.
we have to look out for the Texans too, because Stephon Diggs had a
Oh
season
man,
ending injury too, so
you
that
know
needs to be under the radar as well.
you
So
bring
who's
up
going
a
to step up?
you bring up a good point though too, because like they really hurt, and their wide receiver core, is really banged up. But you bring up, I think, a bigger point too, like these non-contact injuries
Hmm.
seem to be back again. And I remember, and again, I don't want to say this because I'm not disparaging Nike, please,
Right,
anyone, but it just seemed like I remember when Nike became the premier equipment and sponsor.
right,
That first year, there was a whole lot of non-contact injuries, probably
right.
more than I could recall. And then it seemed like over the last couple of years, things kind of quelled a little bit. But now we're back to that. Like, what do you? I don't want to say what do you attribute it to, but like, why? What, in your opinion, why do you think we're seeing so many of these non-contact type injuries that seem to just be happening? I mean, at an alarming rate across the NFL.
I mean, it's tough because is it the field? Is it your
Mm,
strength and conditioning coaches? Um, how did you? How much did you prepare during the off season
right.
to make sure that your durability can last for 17, 18 games, or, a 18 game season.
Right.
So it's too much out there right now for me to even honestly sit here and call it like the why factor.
Right.
Some of it is just, and I mean, you look at it like the league is a whole lot safer than what it's ever been. I
True.
mean, they're throwing flags left and right for
True.
anything. So it's that's a tough one right there.
Hmm.
Um, it's it could be a plethora of things. So
Yeah.
I can't like pinpoint one exact thing because you look at what happens throughout the games. And when an injury comes up, it could be a rollover. You can hyperextend your doggone leg.
Yeah.
Are we running turf or are we running
Good point.
artificial? You
Good
know what
point.
I'm
Good
saying?
point.
So it's too much out there to kind of like pin it on one thing.
Yeah.
Um, I don't I don't know if it's like Nike as a whole, but like you
Hmm.
said, they're the conglomerate right now.
Right.
So
Right.
um, but I mean, everyone has their signature shoe.
Hmm.
So, are you running Nike or are you running Adidas? What's your preference? I'm not exactly sure about Stephon Diggs either. So it's,
Yeah.
could have just been one of those things that, just bad timing.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just weird, man. Because, and again, like I'm again being old school. like when they were having these, where they had full contact drills,
Yeah,
during the heat of the summer and thing. It seemed like, and again, I don't know if it's this day and age, but guys, it seemed like they were built tougher and longer.
they
But
were.
now we were doing, walkthroughs, no contact.
Yeah.
Guys are getting days, or it's like being in the NBA. Guys getting,
Hmm.
rest days. Like, I, and I don't know. In my mind, I'm like, does that contribute to
It
the fact?
could.
Like I don't want to put it on
Yeah.
the equipment solely. Uh,
Yeah.
I
I
don't know.
mean,
It's
if
just
you
weird.
sit here and you take it soft and you take it light, at the beginning of the season and during preseason, I mean, half these dudes barely show up during preseason anymore. And
Right.
I get it that you have other players that's fighting for a spot, but you're trying to prepare yourself for the season.
Yeah.
So, what are we doing to make sure that we're squared away? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? What are we doing to make sure that we're prolonging ourselves so, we could play for the whole season and
Yeah.
everything?
Yeah.
It could get to the point that I mean, I don't think you will ever get to that point. I was going to talk about like your work rest, taking games off because you really can't in the NFL because you only have, like I said, 17 games to prove
Mhm.
yourself and make yourself a contender. So,
Right.
it's pretty much all or nothing when you get on that field.
Agreed. Agreed. I don't know. It's just weird, man. And I don't know if there's gonna. I don't know what can be done. Again, but this is part of, the draw when you're looking for guys like Stephon Diggs and,
Hmm.
Jordan Love and different things. It takes away from the game as a fan. You want to see these
Hmm.
guys out there every week competing, going hard. So I don't know. I just threw that again. It's just weird. Deshaun blowing his Achilles out. It's just wow. When you look at it.
Well, I'm about to say with Jordan Love, like I don't. I feel like it's your knee bone connected to your thigh bone and all that stuff.
Right.
You, and it's tough because he injured his groin. It's not like he got hurt,
Hurt.
but once again, it's like you extended and contorted the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
So now you hurt, but it makes me rewind back. Like, did he rush his recovery? You know
That
what I'm
part.
saying?
That
Because
part too. That's a good point.
if your plant leg ain't 100%, like it's going to
Mm,
affect everything else. And I know that based off of my own personal experience, rushing injuries, especially, while I was in the service and everything,
right.
you pay for that, later on down the road. My knees sound like rusty door hinges now, because I
You
came over there and I pushed myself too far,
Hey,
for the greater good. And, like these athletes, you want to prolong yourself. You don't
right.
want your shelf life. You don't want that expiration date to come a lot earlier than when it
Good
needs to.
point. That's a very good
So,
point.
like I said, they were fine. It's
Mm-hmm.
concerning for me because it's like I said, like it's not like the Texans has the best of receivers to begin with, and
Right.
here's your prize fighter, and
Right.
he's gone for the season. So who's going to step up?
Mm.
You
Yeah.
know,
It's going to be
and
interesting.
there's other teams. I mean, shoot, look at Tampa Bay with Mike
Decimated.
Evans and Godwin
Yeah, it was
banged
decimated
up, Chris
in
Godwin
one
banged
game.
up.
Yeah.
So yeah, in one game. So
Mm.
like it's a lot,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's gonna
I
it's
don't know.
gonna
It's
be
going to be tough.
it's gonna be tough for
Yeah,
them, man.
yeah,
But I mean, they got that running back. They brought in Mixon. They
yeah.
got a decent tight end. They might have to
Hmm.
change up, how they actually call a game or play a game. But
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting. And I was really dragging it out too, because the next game,
Yeah.
next game on the schedule for me was my New York Giants going to Pittsburgh, taking on the Steelers. And it was a classic game. Two of the, I guess, founding fathers, I guess, if you will, of the NFL going head to head. And although we were competitive, we kept the game in the scrum. It was a scrum. Going
Hmm.
in halftime, it was 9-9. We really made it ugly. Both teams lost touchdowns on penalties and the
Yeah.
whole. I mean, it was just all. The first
That
half was just. It was ugly.
yo, bro. That was I saw more flags than the United Nations being flown.
The game was ugly. It really was.
It was
It
so
was
bad,
terrible.
yo.
It was hard to watch. It was even
I
hard
was
to
like,
watch.
what is it was like one drive, New York had like 5 flags.
It was terrible, man. And we were driving backwards. We were hitting reverse,
Yeah.
man. It was terrible.
I was like, make it stop, yo, like for real. Like, what are we doing right now? Doggone. illegal man downfield, holding, illegal man downfield, holding again, offensive pass interference. I was like, what are we doing right now? Like, there is no smart ball, just reckless. You know what I'm saying? I think I had like 2 touchdowns come back
Yep.
due to penalties and everything. And I was like, it was painful for me to watch. I was getting frustrated at the team. I was like, what the hell are we doing?
So that was typical New York Giant football for 2024, 2025. It was just bad. And I mean capital BAD.
Hey, look, I'm rooting for y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? I really am.
You got me back on track because you're not.
Hey, look, I'm trying to fight for you, but like there's
nothing to fight.
They are not. They're making my case very difficult right now for me to say anything good about them.
Bro, it was bad. I mean, all I can say is when and this is the excitement of football. The smallest guy probably on the field at 5'9", a buck, I don't know, a buck made and scored it really was the backbreaker. The first was the kickoff return, coming out the half. That was a backbreaker. And then he scores the receiving touchdown not too long after that. Then I think it was the third quarter. I really put the game away. We're kicking field goals, they're scoring touchdowns, we're driving penalties. Going back, we had more yards in reverse than we had in the entire game. It was just typical Giants football. There's only a couple of highlights that I can take from my G-men. One is we know that young boy, the rookie, Tyrone Tracy Jr., he needs to start every week. I don't care.
Yeah.
He's not an every down guy. He's going to take a beating, but right now he's the best thing we got coming out of the backfield. One of the best guys coming out of the backfield with his hands as well. Look, I'm going to salute my man Slayton. Malik Neighbors, we know he is the prime number one. But Slayton has been showing up for the last couple of weeks. He's been making plays. Sometimes he dropped some. There was a couple that he should have had. But he's showing up, over 100 yards the last couple of weeks. So, I'm happy at least we have something to talk about that's positive. But outside of that, I left tackle. Look, they needed to put 3 guys on his side because between Hayward and Watt, they just ate this young boy up. And I know he normally starts on the right side, so this is like his real first test at left tackle. They should have never left. They should have always kept a tight end on his side or running back on his side because we got obliterated. And look, the Steelers were just doing what they normally do. They got out in front. They unleashed that defense, and it was lights out. So, it was bad. And again, I'm still trying to be positive, Sam. Trying to take it. I'm listening to you. But man, basketball is here. Thank God.
I feel like we're going to be talking about more basketball than football in upcoming episodes.
I might have to swap out my Giants for the Knicks because I can't even talk about the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees are getting crushed. The Dodgers, are overwhelmingly the best team in baseball. They're crushing the Yankees. Aaron Judge needs to go find himself. We need to find somebody to replace him come October because he's been horrible. So I can't even talk about my Yankees. So yeah, we're gonna still talk, but I might replace my Giants with the Knicks. I know this is painful, bro.
I got you. I understand. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's all right. So,
yeah.
So still a lot of ball to be played, but this 2-6 record is, what I'm saying?
Tough, man. We got the Commanders coming, right? We playing them next, and that looks. I'm afraid we're gonna look like the Panthers. What they did, they dropped 40, and that was without.
Right.
Without
Marcus Mariota on the helm right there.
So what are they going to do to us with Jay Daniels? Yeah, that part. Yeah, I'm with you. It's scary.
Hey, look. There's a little sunlight. All right, you do have the Panthers.
Wait. So don't say that though, because we got to go to Germany. We got to go to Germany to play. So that neutral field thing really comes into play there. I'm sorry, I can't even bet it. If it was at home,
right?
We're going to Germany for that one, and we might go stink up Germany for all I know. So I don't even count that one.
Okay, all right. I think that's about it on your schedule that I can look at.
Yeah, right. So we went on ahead and we shortened up that one.
Yeah,
because they're really bad, really bad.
What
Uh,
more can we do?
Nothing. Well, we can. I'm going back to my original call. That when we first started the season, at the first 2 weeks, I want to see Drew Lock. I'm over Dan. I'm
Okay.
over Danny. I'm over it. That's
Okay.
my calling, and I'm back to Danny Don.
Okay.
I mean bench. But anyway, so as we continue on, looking forward into next week, are there any teams, players, uh, whether it be college or pro, that you may be looking forward to, really
Mhm.
watching or seeing somebody shine
Mhm.
or take the stage next week? Um,
I want to see kudos to Jameis Winston.
oh my man.
Uh, yep, yep. Go ahead and eat them W's.
Yeah, he did. He did. He showed up.
I'm interested to see him and how he continues. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? Because I mean, you beat the Ravens.
Yeah,
You
man.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
With your first official start,
that
for the
was dope, bro.
season.
That was dope.
So like, how do you come back from that victory, from that win?
Right.
And how do you pull this team together? Because just don't act like that was your Super Bowl or the AFC Championship game. You
Agreed.
still got a lot of ball to play. So I'm interested to see that. I want to see, of course, my game of the weekend is going to be the Lions and the Packers. Now we got the Lions at home. And I mean, we gave them a fight, at Ford Field. So
Man.
are we healthy enough to sit here and go against a Hutchinson, go
Yeah,
against the
man.
Lions defense without Hutchinson? And
Agreed.
then how do we? Because I was a little frustrated because we've been, especially during the second half, the Packers defense has been nonstop. I think we only gave up like 3 points in the second half
Hmm.
for the season. So for doggone Jacksonville to come up and light up like 17 more points, like I'm not disheartened, but it just didn't have that feel.
Right.
Um, but that for me, that's my game of the weekend. Um, I
I
think
like
that's
that.
all that I have right there. Like
I like that.
that's the game that I'm interested to. I can't even say the Bucks and the Chiefs because like who
Yeah,
is
too many. Yeah,
Baker
there's
going
too
to
many
throw
injuries.
to
Yeah, too
throw
many
to?
injuries on. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one right there. So I don't see anything else that's kind of appealing.
So
You know.
I want to agree with you. I think one, um, the Packers and the Lions is definitely going to be our game of the week next week. We definitely, to me, that game pops automatically. Looking at next week's schedule, uh, I am curious to see, for me, not only how you guys match up, but if Jordan Love is not available,
Hmm.
what kind of game plan you guys come out with for Malik? Because I think, like people say, you can say how bad he's been or whatever, but he held you guys afloat. I thought they had good game script for him, and he really is a
Right.
dual threat guy. He really is, and I think that's the added dimension that can kind of alleviate some of that pressure that if Detroit wants to just pull a hair back and just come straight out the box. I think him being able to hit gaps in lanes can change the structure of how Detroit may come at him. So it's going to be
Right.
interesting. So I do want to see that. And honestly, the other game that interests me is the Dolphins at the Bills. We saw Tua come back this
Yep.
past week. He really didn't look rusty at all. He
No.
Again, it wasn't a lot of flash and pop, but he looked solid. He looked steady. They moved the
Hmm.
ball. He looked good in understanding where he was on the field. A couple of times I watched him break pocket and watched him run, and he understood. He slid a couple
He
of times.
slid.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
he slid like 5 yards before the guy was even there, which I was like,
Yeah.
yes, thank you,
Yeah. That's what
thank
you
you.
want to do.
Yeah, that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
So I'm interested. I think that's a great game now. Now that Tua is back and the Dolphins, their weapons are still there, and now guys can probably really play to their fullest potential with him, long as he keeps that in mind. And I think this will also show, uh, what defense, does Buffalo come with? How do they show up?
Hmm.
We've already seen what Josh Allen has been doing offensively, but I think this is a great test for the Bills defense. So that one I have circled. And oddly enough, I want to ask Tex because I see Tex is back tonight.
Yes.
I'm looking at the Cowboys and Falcons. That one actually intrigues me in Atlanta because Kirko Chains, he doing his thing. Got Atlanta. Look, injuries and whatever in the South, but Atlanta has actually seemed like they went through a couple of weeks where we were like, yeah, I don't know, but
Yeah.
look like they might be hitting a little stride. And then we got Dak and the Cowgirls coming in. I'm interested what Tex has to say about that game.
Well, I said it earlier this season. Dallas has been unsuccessful
Mm,
against teams that are 500 plus.
right.
So if you have a winning record, that's not in the Cowboys' cards. So I there's nothing to resonate with me right now to be like Dallas is that team.
Yeah.
Um, I mean that's really all I have to say about that one. There's nothing, and and like, look, I got a lot of friends who are. I'm from Texas. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
my state bleeds doggone. That doggone star has been
Right.
replaced with their heart.
Right.
However, like it's more front office issues that are trickling downfield.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like, I think this might be Mike McCarthy's last season. They
It should
really
be.
need to sit here and do something with Jerry Jones and company. And I'll
Mm,
toss his son in there too, because they're the ones who's calling all the shots and making all the moves.
right.
From a team perspective, and
Mm-hmm.
is hurting him. And Dak ain't that guy. Like,
Yeah.
let's just go ahead and be clear on that. Like,
Yeah.
he's just not that dude. So, like I said, doggone CD Lamb said it best. Subpar pass, subpar Dak,
Subpar back. Yeah.
and
It,
it's going to continue to be that way. So,
it's been bad, man. And I agree with you. And just in your statement of that, just I don't want to say dismantling, but the dismantling of a front office. And when you look at the Commanders, ownership change,
yep.
and the revamping of a front office that
Mm-hmm.
bled down to the coaching staff, to bringing back all of the old greats and all of the old vets and reinvesting back into the team
Yep.
itself as a community, which now
Mm-hmm.
is bled into the community. Now you see the product of their hard work. It
Yeah.
really does make a difference when you don't have an owner who's playing fantasy football like
Mm-hmm.
Snyder used to and Jera
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
does. And I have to
Yeah.
agree with you. I think that's a big problem for the
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys and in their current state of football. And there
Yeah.
just needs to be a lot of in-house cleaning up before you can clean
Yeah.
up on the field. You brought up a great point.
Yeah. Till they do right or get right,
Yeah.
they're going to continue to have the same issues that they've been having. So I don't think it's going to be. Well, I mean, Kirk Chains. I think he's going to exploit that secondary.
Yeah.
Um, I just I don't see it. Like,
Yeah.
if it becomes a kicking contest, maybe Dallas, but like, I don't know. Kurt go to air it out. Bijan Robinson, he's going to score. He's going to that run game. I mean,
Yeah.
is Michael Parsons going to come back? Is Lawrence
Mm,
going to come back?
good
They
point.
still got key weapons on defense from Dallas that are still questionable. So,
Questionable.
do you bounce back? And then what condition are you going to be in too?
Yeah. That's a
So
good
that I
point.
think that's a tough one. I think that's a very tough game on the road. And like I
Yeah.
said, Dallas has really been struggling with teams with winning records. It's been going on for like the past 3-4 years right now. You
Mm-hmm.
beat the teams that you should beat, but you lose against the teams that, if you're going to be the best, you have
You
to
have to
beat
beat
these.
them.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, I think Atlanta's leading the South, right?
They are. They are now 5 and
Yeah.
3. 5 and 3.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta's leading the South right now. So this is a team that you want to beat.
Mm-hmm.
If we're looking for statement games. I know
Yeah.
last week you said that Dallas statement game was going to be against the Niners, and we saw how that
We
went.
saw how that turned out.
so, so is this going to be their statement game for them?
Yeah.
That's going to be the bigger question. How do you
Right.
bounce back from that? So, if they could get it together, it's just going to be tough to do it on the road, though. You know
I
what I'm
agree.
saying? So,
I agree.
yeah,
I
I
agree.
got Atlanta beating Dallas, but we could circle back around
Yeah,
to this game.
we'll chat about it. It's always good to have Cowboy Tex in the building.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really, honestly, if I look at the schedule, there's really only one other game that stands out, and it's for a couple of different reasons. So the Broncos are coming to M&T. to
Okay.
face the Ravens, and we saw. I mean, the Ravens got kind of manhandled. Like you said, Jameis, famous Jameis came out there and did his thing. And I'm going to eat some crow because I know earlier on in the year when we were talking about this, I think week 1 and or 2, probably both, I was
Hmm.
really down on Peyton, the Broncos,
Right.
Bo Nix, and everything. But fast forward, they've really gotten themselves together and quietly riding under the radar. They've been very competitive. They've been winning. I didn't do a quick check. I want to say they're the 4-4, 5-3 now in the West.
Hmm.
I mean,
5-3.
Kansas City is still ruling the roost out there, but Denver has quietly put themselves in contention and conversation. And
Right.
I want to give them their flowers because I got to eat hay. I was wrong when I started, but they've righted the ship. And what do you see in that matchup? The Broncos coming out east, taking on the Ravens and MNT.
I really feel it's going to be a battle of the defense.
Mm,
First off, like I said before, Sean Payton got a rookie veteran with Bo Nix
true, true.
because I mean, he played like 8 years in
Right,
college. You know what I'm
right,
saying? So he's
right.
like a 32-year-old rookie.
Mhm, mhm.
So he has that experience there, and I think that as the season has progressed, he developed and just
Yeah,
honed in a little bit more.
yeah.
But that defense, Sertan, he's been stepping up. So
Ooh,
that
100.
defense has really been popping out there
Yeah,
for Denver. So I I don't think that this is going to be a slugfest, really.
I
So
agree.
I think it's just going to boil down to what defense gives up the most.
Hmm.
So
I see the
because both
same
teams
thing.
going to score.
I think both teams are going to score, and I agree with you. And when I look at it, like I know the Ravens D right now, I mean they're pretty secondary is
Hmm.
pretty much banged up, and maybe with the bye week, you know, rest or whatever has helped. But I think in the end, it's like you said, turnovers. Uh,
Hmm.
or who makes the least amount of turnovers. And
Yeah.
if the game is close, I'm going to say this. I think whoever has the ball last is going
Right.
to really help decide this game. And like I said, I got to give credit to Denver, Sean Payton, and the work that he's done. Like you said, 32-year-old Bo Nix, man. I mean, career professional, playing football. Got me eating crow, and I'm looking forward to. This is one of those one of those games like how sometimes like you just look like man, this might be a good one. Like I'm just kind of looking at it on the schedule like
Yeah.
this might turn out to be a good one. So it's 1 o'clock. And you know me though, I always say I'm never really a big fan of teams taking long trip distances one way or the other. Denver
Yeah.
coming from the Mile High to Baltimore. It's a 1 o'clock game. Those type of things usually make me a little hesitant. But
Hmm.
I'm in agreement with you. I think Denver's going to show up and it's going to be a great game.
That Baltimore air going to be a little bit different than doggone Denver.
Yeah.
And I will say this: I think another factor too for Baltimore is like how when the games that they lost, they tend to go away from the run game really early,
Right.
and then they just
Agreed.
become real pass heavy too.
Heavy.
So, how soon are we going to sit here and abandon the doggone run game,
True.
and
That's a good point.
keep the ball away from Derrick Henry hands?
I
So, I think
agree.
that's going to be a big factor too.
I agree with you on that one. I mean, those are great points. So, I mean, look, this has been another great show. Is there anything else that you want to share or talk about? Before we close out and thank the Gremlins for being here this Halloween week. For interrupting our show this evening.
Just go vote.
Hey,
Election day is next week. I don't care which side of the fence that you're on, but don't sit here and complain about anything if you don't do nothing. So, um, just make sure that your voice is heard next week. So that's all that I have.
I agree. Oddly enough, the wife and I we both went today. We did our early voting, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, Sam. It doesn't matter. Uh, I'm
Hmm.
not going to get into the whole
Yeah.
mechanics and all of that.
Right.
Go ahead and use your right to vote.
Yeah.
Use it. Go out and
Hmm.
execute that.
Yeah.
Whether it be early voting or on Tuesday, November the 4th or the 5th, I believe. I don't know. That's why I went early because I wanted to make sure I
Hmm.
got it in.
Right.
But execute it, man. And
Yeah. Read the
don't.
fine print.
Well, that part
You
too.
know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Yeah.
don't look at the top tier. Like there's
Right.
still other acts and approvals and proposals that's down the line,
Mm-hmm.
and district reps and everything too. So make sure if you go to vote, be legit about it.
Yeah,
But just make sure it's your right. Just make sure that you do it.
agreed. And you know, come the following day or days, as I've been hearing these pundits say, it's going to take 48 to 72 hours for them to officially call someone. Long as you know you went and vote and did your part as a
Yeah,
citizen, you can't complain. For those who don't vote, please do me a favor, just stay over there in that
yeah.
corner, because
Stay in your lane.
yeah, you didn't execute your right to vote, so there's nothing for you to complain about. So we'll be back. Well, I need to look at the schedule because I don't know if Tuesday night is election night. We may not be back election night.
Yeah, I think it is Tuesday.
Yeah, so we won't be back next week Tuesday. We're going to go ahead and honor, everyone's right to vote. We'll come back the following Tuesday, and we'll pick up, with the previous weekend's games and events and celebrity talk. So we look forward to having you. However, I will be back next Wednesday with an all new live conversation. I'm going to be rocking with a sister, and I'm going to keep that one a surprise. But I want y'all to come on back, join me next Wednesday. We're going to have a little fun with that. And like we always do here, man, at Two Mics Up, Tuesday Blitz with my man Big A Sam Adams. I'm going to ask you all to do a couple of things. May you all stay safe, stay blessed. Mics out.